to our live show this evening, July 11th, 2021. It is so good to be with you again one more time. It's been a minute since we had a live show, but today we are back and we thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being live with us on Facebook and on YouTube at our Haconet um, channels. And again, thank you for being today. We have a very special show for you. The last time we were live with Ednis. Today we start again with Ednis. So it's a privilege, it's a blessing to have her on, and we'd like to welcome Ednis to our show. Ednis, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
It is good to see you, and we can't wait to hear what you have for us today. But before we get to Ednis, we would like to um, thank some people for supporting what we do, for always believing in what we're trying to accomplish in the Haitian community. We want to say thank you to Tico Island Restaurant, the Bueno Haitian restaurant in the Columbus area. We want to thank Sarah Janvier with Duck Assist for her services in the community. And we want to thank Smith Francois for his undivided support, always there when we need him. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for what you do, and you are making a difference in our community. Without any further ado, let's get back to Ednis. And Ednis, um, it's your turn, so we can't wait to hear what you have for us today.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So, again, thank you for this platform and for the opportunity to speak on some things that I think are pertinent to um, our community and just in general. So, let's dive in. Today, I wanted to talk about holistic health. And as it says here, it's addressing more than the physical. So nou konen gen an pil importans pou konstruè tet nou an pale de, fizikman, men nou bezwen wè sante, pa jist fizikman, but also sante mental nou avek spiritual nou.
Hmm.
And that's what we're going to basically talk about today. So this here is actually just a little graphic of the organization that I work for. So I work for an organization called Farm Stew. And basically what we do is we educate communities on health in every aspect. So as I mentioned earlier, physically, emotionally, mentally, because we are, our body is, our health encompasses all of those things. It's not just the physical. So we focus on a model that's very similar to the 8 laws of health that I described the last time I spoke. So I don't know if you guys remember, but that was nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust. So we realized that this acronym, the New Start acronym, the 8 laws of health that I mentioned last time, that is more so for those of us who are in like first world countries. So for example, people who live in other countries don't really have an issue getting sunlight. They don't really have an issue exercising. That's more so an issue for those of us who live, for example, in the US. So we were able to tweak that acronym to really cater to people across the world who can also benefit from 8 laws of health, but just with a little tweak. So STEW represents, it stands for farming, rest, meals, sanitation, temperance, enterprise, and water. So we have 5 priorities in this organization. The first one being freedom from dependency. We teach certain things that will help create self-sufficiency because we believe that's really important. It's more than just, it takes more than just giving. It takes more than just, giving. It takes more than just, providing. And we believe that that's really important. It's more than just, giving. It takes more than just, giving. It takes more than just, providing. And we believe that that's really important. It's more than just, giving. It takes more than just, giving. a country funds. Like you have to actually, like they say, fish type of thing, and that's really the philosophy that we go by. Second priority that we have is freedom from shame, and this is particularly in for example, a lot of the countries that we serve, young girls will have to drop out of school because they're not able to, take care of their menstrual in a proper way. So we supply certain materials that can ensure that, their reason for not going to school will not have to do with, nature and things that their body does once a month. Our next priority is freedom from disease and drudgery. So some of the countries that we serve have issues with water accessibility and even sanitation. And as we know, these things, dirty water as well as lack of sanitation lead to disease. So we help as much as we can facilitate better water accessibility and clean water through the installment of things like boreholes and wells. Our next priority is freedom to share globally. So we have a curriculum actually on our website that goes through each letter in the acronym that we have here in our name, and it really goes in depth and talks about the 8 laws of health in a way that caters to people who may not have first world problems. And then priority 5 is freedom to grow. So we currently serve in about 5 countries, and so as seen here, and we're also going to be starting in another country in Asia as well. So thankfully, the work has been growing for us, and we really believe that it's because it's not just, for example, those of us in the U.S. just handing out things. If anything, we are training and giving resources to people who can lead out this organization in their home country. So kind of going back to our curriculum, we have it on our website, and it's split up into modules, and each module touches on one of the letters from the acronym. So for example, one of our modules is on the topic of attitude, which is the second letter in our acronym. And one of the lessons within that module is overcoming the 4 R's with forgiveness. This is actually a lesson that I think we can all benefit from. And this is really tackling our mental and, spiritual aspects of health. I don't think people realize how much lack of forgiveness can really have an effect on our physical health, because as we know, it's all tied together, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And I'm really happy that this is actually discussed in our curriculum. I wanted to share that with us this evening. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. Honestly, it's something that I've seen in our community, even like family members against family members. And, there can be roots to things that we haven't really chopped down, and those roots can just like grow and fester and really, really cause a lot of harm and just eat us up from the inside out. And I say we because honestly, I know there have been times where I've been slow to forgive. And I've even seen the effects of lack of forgiveness. And as this quote says here, lack of forgiveness of others breeds lack of self-forgiveness. And it's so true. It's kind of like a downward spiral. So these next couple of slides are going to be on this topic. And I think, I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and it can help us move forward as a community. So again, the title is Overcoming the 4 R's of Forgiveness. So what are the four R's? These are natural responses to mistreatment. So usually when we're mistreated, we seek revenge. We may seek revenge. Retaliation, si on moun fait mal, m'gen doit pou m'fè yo mal type of mentality, which honestly is not good. Rejection, completely just kind of blocking the person off, leaving them, wherever. And resentment, just holding something in our hearts against that person. Um, so we're gonna dive into the effects of these things. And as you can see in this picture, it causes friction. It just, when you have that feeling of lack of forgiveness, or if you have something against someone, it doesn't sit well. And science is showing that it has effects on our physical health as well. So some health issues associated with lack of forgiveness. Well, as we see here, chronic stress is one of them. And we know stress is a killer in so many ways. But in this sense, lack of forgiveness can cause stress. And this picture here that I have of a dog kind of speaks to what we mentioned in our curriculum. So when we are upset, or when something is aggravating us, or when we lack forgiveness, we have this like fight or flight. We're always producing those hormones that are supposed to be produced when we have that fight or flight. So imagine when you see someone who you're holding something against, and you feel some type of feeling that's not supposed to happen. If anything, you're putting too much stress on your body, because it's only supposed to do that in certain situations, in emergency situations, not because you can't, forgive someone. So over time, this can lead, science is showing that this can lead to brain hemorrhages and mental illnesses, even like anorexia, bulimia. Another thing as well is short-term intense responses. So acting off impulse. This can affect how we speak to people, how we think. It can really do a number on us that we don't realize. Also, depression can be a result of lack of forgiveness, and paranoia, just watching your back or just fearing the worst, is another result of lack of forgiveness. So here we talk about the benefits of forgiveness, and I love this picture because really there's freedom when you can just forgive someone and let things go. There is a freedom that just overcomes you. And as part of that freedom, there's mental stability. So as we talked about in the previous slide, lack of forgiveness can lead to certain, dysfunctions, certain imbalances. And when you do forgive someone, you no longer hold back those negative emotions. It's always best to, if you can, talk to the person about it and just put it on the table, and just make that conscious choice to forgive. And once you do that, like, there is a freedom that you can't really put into words sometimes. Also, social functioning. So again, you're able to have like an ability of self-control. You won't be so quick to act on your emotions, and this is all linked to forgiveness. So here are some steps to forgiveness. Realizing the person who wronged you has feelings. There's a saying that says, hurt people hurt people. And it's no way an excuse for what people do, but I think it'll help us see that, just like I may be hurt by someone, there's a good chance that I have hurt someone as well. So we're all in this together. We all have our natural tendencies to hold on to our pride, or to feel like we're entitled to, doing someone wrong because they did us wrong. But at the end of the day, we're kind of all in this struggle together. Also, seeing the person in light of loving them, just not focusing on what they did, so to speak, but who they are. And just knowing that, there may be something that person is struggling with, and for some reason they felt like they had to take it out on you. Again, not excusing it, but just trying to see that, okay, we have this. If I can fall in this way, if I have this tendency, who knows what this person might be, what could have caused this person to treat me in this way. The next step, I think, is really important as well. Allowing your love for the person to grow. As love grows, so does forgiveness. And then finally, letting go of the hurt and surrendering your right to hurt that person physically or in any other way. I think this is kind of a big thing like, okay, this person has been hurting me for so long. If I have this, I have the right to hurt this person, or, you kind of have to dish back what you get, or type thing. And it honestly, after a while, it just turns into a cycle. If that's the way we're going to go about thinking about it, it just becomes a cycle. So with this whole forgiveness topic, it doesn't sound easy, and depending on how long we may have resentment towards someone, it yeah, especially as we get older, it could seem to be more of a struggle, but it's possible. It really is possible, and I think it takes stepping back and really seeing the person, seeing the situation from different angles, and kind of slightly want to touch on, the recent news that we heard in Haiti. I'm not going to get into the details, but I've been hearing of just stories of people who are happy because of what happened, and I assume that they feel justified by it because of the state of the country, and there are many people in the country who didn't agree with what the president was doing. I feel like at the end of the day, we're not the ones to judge what he was doing. We can't judge. But at the end of the day, the man was a father. The man was a husband. And for us to rejoice over someone, something like that happening, I think kind of just shows that we have a lack of forgiveness. And I think maybe that could be a place for some of us to start, is to forgive, how it seemed that things were done, if people have issues with his leadership or anything like that, just to forgive and not let that fester up in us. Because I think that could really help us in moving forward, is if we just take a step back and really forgive. So another story that kind of talks about forgiveness, it's the story of the prodigal son. The story is found in the Bible in Luke 15. So the prodigal son, he, as his name kind of explains, he went out and he asked for his dad for his inheritance. And I've heard people say that him asking his dad for his inheritance was kind of like saying he wishes he was better off dead. So he went out, the son went out, did everything that, he wanted to do, everything that gave him pleasure and stuff. And after that, he found himself just in a barn, like eating alongside pigs, I believe. And he decided to go back to his father. So at the time when this son left, there was another brother who stayed with the father. So that brother was still around. So when the prodigal son decided to go back to his dad and was just, sorry, and said he wouldn't mind just being a servant in his father's house, the dad took him in his arms and was just, really like forgave him. Like the dad gave the perfect example of forgiveness. The brother, on the other hand, I think his attitude about it was really similar to a lot of us. I feel like he resented, he felt bad. He was like upset against his brother because he just came back and, the father didn't really notice him. And he held that in his heart. And as we don't hear much talk about him later on in the story, but I think we should be more like the father. And when you think of it, the father is the one who was hurt the most, because it wasn't the brother's money that the prodigal son took. It was his father's money. Like he was the one who experienced the most hurt, but then again, he was the one who forgave the most. So I think that might be a lesson for us. Like we shouldn't really look at if we look at things in regards to like, oh, this person deserves this or they don't deserve that, I think that can really lead us down a really, um, it can lead us in a negative direction. And we should, follow this example and hopefully, with help, follow suit. So a verse that the company that I work for that we go by is John 10:10. It says, "I came that they may have life and may have it more abundantly." So we truly believe that everyone has the opportunity to have abundant life, and abundant life, as much as it has to do with nutrition and exercise and things like that, it also has to do with the internal as well, with things like forgiveness. So again, there's freedom in forgiveness. There's freedom when we can just kind of wave our flag and just talk things out and clarify things. And I hope that we can practice this more and encourage this more in each other. So, and that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, that was great. That was great, Ednis. Yeah, this subject is it's so important. Um, I mean, it feels like sometimes um, we have become a society where being loving, caring, and forgiving is seen as a as a weakness.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so and and sometimes we kind of let that affect the way we treat other people. We we let society kind of dictates or directs our thoughts and our minds. Um, so what you talked about this evening is very important, and especially in our Haitian community, we need that. We need to learn to forgive one another. We need to learn to appreciate somebody else's values, and don't cross that line where we tend to disrespect or talk down somebody because we don't share the same values, or we tend to you know get upset or mad because somebody said something that we don't agree with, or we don't share.
Mhm.
So forgiveness is very important. And you mentioned about what happened in Haiti, which is very important. We're not gonna go into politics, but what you said is very important, and people need to get that. Uh, somebody can everybody do something bad. I mean, people, we all sinners. I mean, we do bad things, and that's unfortunately that's in our nature. Uh, but like you said, you cannot enjoy or take pleasure in somebody else's demise. Somebody is going through something, and you're taking pleasure in it. I mean, this is we're not even talking about Christian. This is inhuman. I mean, you can't even situation like this. So again, like you said, the man was a father, he was a son, he was a cousin, he was an uncle. I mean, and nobody wants to see somebody they know, somebody they love go through something like that. And we have to pray for this family. We have to pray for them. We have to, we have to kind of not really. We can't put ourselves in the position, but we have to try to understand. Because we came from the same people, same nation, and we share something. So that is very important. So when you forgive someone, do you have to restore that relationship with them? Because I know sometimes people, if you stop talking to somebody or they stop talking to you, and then you try to forgive them and talk back. I mean, do you have to? go back to the thing to the way things were before to forgive someone?
That's a good question. I would say not necessarily. It has to be. It definitely has to be a mutual thing. Um, so if one person wants to restore the relationship, the other doesn't. It's better if you just leave things. If you just forgive and move forward with that. Um, so yeah, I think maybe. I mean, I believe there's a way to not have the same type of relationship with the person, but still move forward in a healthy way so that you're not, mean when you see them or you don't any, respond in any type of immature way or something. But in terms of, if this was like a best friend or if this was like, you know, you're really close to, just kind of having boundaries, I think is important. So you can forgive and move forward in a way or see how the relationship can be tweaked in a way so that the hurt doesn't keep happening again and again.
Very good. In our Haitian community, especially when you're hearing older folks talk, in Creole, you can see something like, um, um, comme si yo kon di yon bagay se pa ganyen ki pou fem padono apre tout sa ou fin fem. And you even hear things like that from um, you know people who go to church and people who have different values. Uh, but is it possible to forgive someone even if they do not ask for forgiveness? Sometimes people do something, they do it consciously, and they stand by it. You know, they this is what they decided to do, and they nothing will change their mind. So how do you forgive someone even if they don't ask for you know forgiveness, or they don't show that they're interested in that?
Yeah, I think the best. So first off, it is possible to forgive someone even if they don't ask for forgiveness. And I think what we need to remember is that forgiveness isn't always for the other person. Forgiveness is for us. So if we've been wronged, let's say I've been wronged and I'm just walking around with this like guilt, like not guilt, but with this resentment and with this, revenge. And the person who wronged me is living their best life. They're fine,
Mm,
Et pas comme si yo connaît que yo te fait mal, yo yap vive. I think so that right there is like an example of how it's for us. Sometimes we have to just do it for us. And then sometimes there's a case where, maybe the person passes away before you're able to talk to them about it or, for them to ask for forgiveness or maybe you lose contact or something like that. So it's possible, and I think it's important for us to know that we can forgive, for those of us who believe, like, definitely pray, ask the Lord to help you to, you know, input on it. But I think communication is important. Sorry, I'm seeing something here saying my internet's unstable. Okay, I hope I'm back. But I think communication is important. So if you do have the chance to speak with the person and talk to them about how they hurt you, that's ideal. And for those of us who believe Matthew 6, or I'm sorry, not Matthew 6, but there's a passage in Matthew that tells us about this, um, how we're supposed to go to the person who has wronged us. Um, but if that's not possible, I think you could definitely forgive someone just on your own.
yeah, very good. I totally agree with you because, like you said, forgive someone is not always you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. Parce que ça capable affecter ou dans différentes façons, capable affecter ou vie spirituelle ou relation avec mon Dieu, qui affecter ou peut-être alors tout le monde pas même genre, everybody's different. Like if something happens between me and someone, I mean, it affects my health. It affects like everything that I do. That's the kind of person I am. Peut-être tout le monde pas comme ça, mais l'important, ou doit pardonner même si mon pas intéressé avec lui. Um, Now, living in the Haitian community, um, we live in Columbus, Ohio, but Haitians are everywhere. Et nous connaissons forgiveness, c'est une bagaille qui est difficile dans la communauté nous. Et nous avons pile jeunes qui ont grandi dans la communauté, qui ont gardé ça qui a passé en Haïti. Um, what can you tell them? Or qui genre de référence ou ba yo si yo ta trouvé yo dans une situation pareille, if they find themselves in a situation like that, or if si you vivent dans un environnement where they feel like people don't love each other, uh, and you can't tell them to, so what can you tell them for them to kind of help the situation and help themselves at the same time?
The words. So, for those of us growing up in the Haitian community and we see that, there's people who've had beefs for like however long, if we show a different way of handling, disagreements with each other, with, you know, bloodshed, I think, I think that can help to an extent. I know our people are very headstrong, and I appreciate this in some contexts, others not so much. But I think maybe also just talking about it. I think just being like, mom, or so and so, mom, auntie, mweko gengoto upapale at munsa sakti, what happened, and maybe just talking to them about it and just saying, okay, I was in a similar situation, but as much as this person hurt me, I decided that I was going to forgive them, and I feel so much better. I feel free. I feel, I'm not struggling and this and that. That can be a turning point, especially if it's someone who's close to us and who really loves us. I think that can be a turning point. If we show them that it's possible, they may be more willing to try it, and maybe see what the root of the issue was with the other person, and take steps to forgiving. And again, some issues with forgiveness have, it could be for years and years. And as therapists and things like that are becoming more common now, I think it'd be possible to even refer, some of our family members to someone who can help them talk it out. I think those are some steps that the youth can help our
Very important. Very important.
answers.
So you forgive someone, but you notice that you still have some sort of resentment towards them. Uh, what do you do?
First and foremost, reflect on it. And for those of us who are believers, like, pray about it. Like, Lord, why do I still, I thought I forgave this person. Why do I still feel this towards them? And another thing is going back to the phrase, actions speak louder than words, or also, fake it till you make it. So sometimes you may not feel like forgiving someone, but when you act towards it, things will kind of follow suit. So I can give an example. There was someone who I thought really did me wrong, and the person asked for forgiveness, and I forgave them, or so I thought. And they reached out to me to congratulate me on something, and I noticed I still had those feelings of resentment, and I was almost going to reply in like a cold way to their message. It was, okay, you know what? I'm going to reply just like I would a friend. Like, I'm going to reply to them showing that I sincerely appreciate their comment. And I kid you not, after that, like I feel like that sealed the deal for me, because now I can see that person and not have those feelings. They can reach out to me and I'm not going to be like, oh, I remember what you did. So sometimes it takes more than just saying, oh, I forgive the person. But when we have a situation where we have to act on that forgiveness, it kind of just solidifies that, yes, I have forgiven them. Because our nature is, we're dealing with, I don't think people understand, like, our human nature is very, very strong, and not in a good way. So even if we say we forgive someone, or we feel like we consciously make that decision, there's a battle within us that, no, but you're entitled to feel bad, or you're entitled to make this person feel bad for what they did. And it's like, no, we have to be on guard with those feelings and really put them in their place and act on, forgiving someone, not just saying it, but actually acting on it.
Very good, very very important, and I think being able to to forgive somebody has a lot to do with your own self confidence. You know how you believe. You know, if you have a low self esteem, you it's easy to let people kind of um, keep you in that bubble. If something happens, you just try to defend yourselves versus trying to fix the situation. But si que ou gen konfians nan tèt ou kwen nan tèt ou gen valeur ko respekte ou kwen nan peut-être ou se chrétien ou bien ou conseil de l'autre valeur ko genyen, tout sa ou ede mpense nan sens sa. But again, nou nan yon sosyete ki uh, I mean, living in this country, and for the last 4 years, um, we kind of witnessed how some values, I mean, ki jan moun yo ti jan misuse, or kind of make you feel like, okay, if you're humble, if you're, gentle, you're in the wrong country, or you're in the wrong society right now. Um, but again, si ke ou konen ki sa ko vle devenu, mpase forgiveness and learn how to forgive is a very good thing. And again, I'm always thinking about the Haitian community, how like you said, we are very headstrong, and sometimes it takes more than one try, to get somebody to. But if I take one thing from what you said, is you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. And si ou believe ça, ou capable faire une différence. So Ednis, thank you so much. Parce ça c'est vraiment bon monde qui m'a dit comme ça, the bullet points you shared, can they find them somewhere online or on your website? Can you share your website, or can you share
Yeah,
where they can
I
find?
can I can share my email address, and yeah, I'd be happy to share that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if we can go ahead and uh, and share it.
You want me to type it in the chat here?
Yeah. If you put in the chat, or if you say to me, I'll just put it up on there, and people will be able to see it.
Okay,
Um, and in case they have questions, in case they wanna follow up, if somebody
definitely.
needs to learn more how to do this, I'm sure people who are watching right now. Um, I mean, peut-être j'ai medité to you, wow, it sounds so. I mean, the principles you shared is so. I mean, so clear. But again, taking the steps are not as is not as easy as saying it. So let me put your email on the screen so people can see it in case they want to. Um, in case they want to share, I mean, reach out to you. I think it will be a great thing. Uh, I mean,
While you do that, Mark, I want to say maybe the reason why it doesn't seem, it seems really hard for us to do is because no one, I guess, does it. We don't do it. And like you said, it kind of comes off if someone comes up and says something like that, it may come off as weak. So I think for so long that has been the norm. Like, oh, intel femsa, map just, map just keep there, and then I'll just keep moving. I'll just do my own thing. Like that's how we've dealt with things, and who knows what the issue could have been. It could have been something so small. I mean, and it could have been huge. Just no matter what, I think it just takes one of us to reach out and be like, you know what, I want to ask for your forgiveness for this, and then you know I really believe it can have a triple effect. So, si m komanse ak sa, puis apre sa ou même ou fè sa, gon lot moun kap fè sa, and hopefully this can be the new normal, the new norm.
Mhm. So your email is on the screen. People on YouTube and Facebook, they can see it, and I'm sure they will they will write it down and they will reach out to you in case they need to follow up or ask you some question. Any final thoughts? Any final words?
Again, thank you for this platform. And to be honest, this is something, the topic of forgiveness is something I'm still, I can't say I'm an expert on this, but I definitely see the importance of it. So as I'm sharing this, I'm not like, oh, I do this all the time. It's in a struggle for myself too, but I have seen in certain circumstances that it's liberating, and I want that for all of us. So thank you, Mark, again for this opportunity, and yeah, now we're encore.
Yeah, c'est toujours un privilège. Nous toujours contents pour nous gagner ensemble avec nous. Et nous sûrs certainement nous gagner ensemble avec nous encore mois prochain pour un autre sujet aussi important. Et nous encourager nous-mêmes qui regardent nous sur YouTube et Facebook pour nous capables toujours checker ensemble avec nous, garder les nous live. Et si que ou pas de temps ou live, ou bien si l'autre monde ou t'as aimé web vidéo ça, you can share our Facebook and YouTube um, channels. And I think que l'autre monde capable aller suivre sujet ça, débat ça qui est very, very, very important. So, nous remercions nous du fait que nous avons pris le temps pour nous être avec nous après-midi encore pour un autre Haconet Live. Qu'on est que Haconet, c'est Haitian Community Network. Nous là pour nous capables encourager, supporter et tout business haïtien, tout haïtien qui est professionnel, quel soit le domaine, quel que soit dans ça que vous y êtes, nous là pour nous supporter et nous bon plateforme ça pour que vous capable présenter tête ou présenter sujet ou présenter programme ou présenter un produit ou présenter tout ça qu'on gagne qu'on veut offrir à la communauté haïtienne. Ma foi qu'on est que à connaître pas simplement et un local network pour Columbus Ohio, nous a établi nous tout New York très bientôt. On a bien chapter nous dans New York et côté que nous gagnons plusieurs autres business haïtiens qui joignent ensemble avec nous pour que nous capable push communauté haïtienne pour que nous capable commencer à travailler ensemble, unis nous ensemble. C'est devise haïtien, l'union fait la force et nous disons souvent, mais en nous vivre une façon pour que nous capables montrer que nous believe dans l'union fait la force. Plus nous mettons nous ensemble, plus nous partager connaissances nous, plus nous mettons service à disponibilité communauté haïtienne. C'est plus nous avons grandi, c'est plus nous avons évolué et c'est plus nous avons fait impact non seulement dans la communauté que nous avons vécu, mais nous avons fait impact dans le monde là. Si vous avez besoin de contact ensemble avec nous, vous pouvez écrire nous sur info@haconet.com. Vous pouvez écrire nous tout par texte dans 614-370-8248 614 370 82 48. Et avec ça, nous sommes capables de causer, nous sommes capables de parler et continuer à faire la communauté haïtienne avancer. Thank you so much for joining us. We see you next time.